On capital outlay to order. Can we take the roll, please? All right, everyone is present. Thank you all this morning. We have 4 bills. We'll try to run through these fairly quick because I know everyone has committees that they're probably missing right now. We'll turn to staff. I think we'll handle at least, or do you want to handle House Bill, since we have a patron here, House Bill 2036 first? Delegates as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair and members of the subcommittee, I'm here to present House Bill 2036. This bill is a study and plan for the potential establishment of a Veterans Care Center in the Eastern Corridor of Northern Virginia, within close proximity to the Pentagon, Fort Belvoir, Marine Corps Base Quantico, Andrews Air Force Base. This same legislation unanimously passed the Rules Committee last year, and currently there are 2 veteran care centers in operation and 2 more in the works here in the Commonwealth that provide senior care, Alzheimer memory care, as well as short-term rehabilitative care services. And the criteria the care would be provided to veterans who meet the criteria of having been honorably discharged, medically required nursing care, and reside in the Commonwealth or were residents of the Commonwealth at their entering point of active duty into the U.S. Armed Services. According to the Department of Veterans Services, there are over 780,000 veterans who call the Commonwealth home, and 1 in 4 of those reside in Northern Virginia. In total, all 4 facilities will provide only 680 beds here in the Commonwealth, and that will not be enough to provide accommodations for our veterans and our growing veteran population here in the Commonwealth. As we know, we have an aging population here in the Commonwealth, and currently the federal government would allow up to 1,903 beds to be provided with the use of federal grants. Although not every veteran would require the use of a care center, we still need to be prepared for veterans who are residing here in the Commonwealth, and there's a scarcity for the access to affordable, long-term, and rehabilitative care, especially in Northern Virginia at this time. I truly believe that this study could have long-lasting implications. I've had conversations in the past year with Stephen Combs, Chief Deputy Commissioner of DVS, who oversees our Commonwealth Care Centers, who assured me that this study and that they are able to develop and complete within a timely fashion within the noted deadline. And I've also had conversations with Commissioner Daniel Gade. Mr. Chair, our veterans have served our nation honorably and deserve to have access to care centers that provide them with the support that they need in the region that they call home to ensure that our seniors can age gracefully in place.
Thank you, Delegate. Any questions for the delegate before we take some testimony?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Delegate.
Delegate Sewell, you made some comment about the Rules Committee having taken up a similar measure in the past. Can you explain how that worked?
So this bill, because it was a study, was initially sent to the Rules Committee last year. I'm carrying the same legislation. This year, it was immediately sent over to the Subcommittee for Appropriations.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, you said there will be 4. Would this make the 5th?
Yes, this will make the 5th Veterans Care Center in the Commonwealth.
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yes, sir.
Where are the other 4 located?
Currently online, we have 2 Veterans Care Centers. One is located in Richmond and the other is located in Roanoke. There will be 2 additional care centers that will be coming online later this year. One will be located in Fauquier, Virginia. The other will be located in Virginia Beach. And in total, as I noted, that would only provide 680 veteran care center beds. And in accordance with the federal government and their current standards, the Commonwealth of Virginia is able to receive federal grant funding for up to 1,903.
All right. Thank you. Any more questions for the patron? All right. I think there are some folks online. There's one folks online here. Yes, sir. Delegate Torian.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question for the patron. So, in HB 2036, not only do you have money in there for the study, But if I read this correctly, also included in the bill is a possibility of monies for construction as well?
No, just for a plan, Mr. Chair, I would respond to the delegate that actually the fiscal impact statement, which actually came in today, is only for $50,000, and that would cover both the study completion as well as a particular plan for the potential development of a Veterans Care Center in the Eastern Corridor of Northern Virginia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Yes, sir, Delegate Marshall.
So has a study been to see if there's enough demand to do this?
That's exactly what we were requesting the funding for.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Delegate
Chairman, I
Marshall.
understand the intent of the legislature, Mr. Sewell, Delegate Sewell, but, oh, okay, you got public comment?
Yes, sir, we have a couple
right, I'm
people
sorry.
online. All right, let's bring in the person that's online. I can't see.
Hi, yes, I think that's me. I'm Angela McConnell, President and CEO of the Northern Virginia Veterans Association. Thank you all for having me here to speak. I want to start with the obvious, and that is our aging veteran population isn't getting any younger, and we all know this. In 2018, there was a RAND study studying veterans between the ages of 55 and 74 and found that that is the largest number of veterans who died by suicide. And in 2019, in Virginia, in 2019 alone, 95 veterans ages 55 and older died by suicide. These are just some of the outcomes that we're seeing because we don't have the care and the services in place for our veterans here in Virginia. The Northern Virginia Veterans Association specifically supports the elderly, the underserved, and the disabled. We have grown in number of cases that we've supported from 21 to 22, from 1,044 cases to 2,297 cases. And the majority of these revolve around needs on transportation, housing, and benefits. That housing is critical. Many of our veterans are elderly. They're in the homes that they purchased decades ago, and that's considered their only asset. They don't have the funds to move into assisted living and to get the care they receive. Many, what I call, are in this gray area of income where they don't make enough for all the government assistance that those that are very low income have. And they don't also make enough to be able to provide themselves with a safe and health facility of which they would require to take care of their multiple accommodations and needs. I also submitted this in public comment, but I think it's critical to note that our veterans, now we're looking at, I'm dating myself, Desert Storm, Desert Shield, 50 and older are getting themselves healthcare potentially at one of our bases, but also going into Washington, D.C. They should not be required to go that far to receive basic primary health care. And when they get older, this makes it even harder on them. So what we're asking is for the General Assembly and those involved to look at the long-term needs of our veterans. This isn't going to come online if the study shows it should within the next couple of years. We're looking still years down the road. I absolutely have the data to support that this study should be done. I would be happy to share more details with anyone who requests it. But I'm just asking for you all to look at the number of veteran suicides, look at the number of elderly and disabled here in the Commonwealth. And I'm asking for you to make this step in helping our veterans, possibly your dad, your mom, your brother, and thank them for serving
Thank
like
you.
they've served us.
Thank you. Is there one more online? Okay. All right. Thank you. That's the testimony online. I know that there's been some movement in the last couple of years, and federal funding lining up with state funding, I think, has been an issue. I think we had to cut the scale of our hospitals back because the feds did not come in with the money that were promised. But I think Tony, staff, can you help me with that? Is my memory correct, or am I missing something here?
Mr. Chairman, that is the case. With the two Veterans Care Centers that are currently in the pipeline, the Virginia Beach and the Fauquier one, both those, we were moving forward with a much larger size. We had actually, at one point, we had went the Treasury Board route, the Treasury loan route. We actually appropriated money. The feds had moved forward, then pulled back. We ended up having to fund both at a smaller scale, lesser beds, in order to do it, because we did it all on the state's nickel as opposed to the 1/3, 2/3 cost share. So we do try to run in tandem with the federal government in terms of they have a sheet, they have a list of what it is to move forward, and we've tried moving up on that list often, but it's definitely a very iffy kind of proposition.
Mr. Chair, may I add to what was noted?
Yes, ma'am.
So when it comes to the funding of the facilities, he's talking about the general construction. And in the case of the two Veteran Care Center facilities that are scheduled to come online, and typically a Veterans Care Center facility, if you look at the two initial Veterans Care Center facilities that were funded by the state, it was at about a 35% rate of state funds, and the remaining portion came from the federal government in grant funds. As he noted, there was an effort to try to speed up this process, and the land was donated by the Commonwealth. But as far as the funding and the maintenance of these facilities, there are no general funds that will be necessary. This is paid for by the individuals unless they need to get additional funding for their care and service. That's not coming from the state budget.
My memory isn't, I'm not so sure that's completely accurate from my memory. I'm just trying to think. I knew we had to cut back on the size because the feds did not come up with their portion, is what my memory serves me.
We do put up 1/3 from general fund or from general fund bonds for the state share. The federal government's supposed to put up 2/3 from federal money, so it's a 1-to-2 match, if you will. What happened in the previous round was 100% of this came from state share, but at a reduced size for each facility because we could not afford to build the full one at the dollar amounts that we had appropriated.
Okay, thank you. And I think we all understand the situation we find ourselves in with their veterans care. I'm just not really sure that we're prepared at this point to assume the federal government's going to be a good partner in this because of their history. Is just my take, but I'll turn it over to the committee for discussion.
Mr. Chair, I certainly recognize the delegates' intent, but to spend $50,000 to do a study when we don't have the partnership with the feds that we previously had, and inflation and the cost and having to pull back in our capital projects as we've done, I think we need to continue to move forward with the improvements on the two facilities and then the implementation of the two additional facilities. And during that process, maybe do a study to see what the needs would be at that time. But I think we're a ways out on some of that, so it would be my recommendation to the committee that we gently lay this bill on the table.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so we'll go to the voting board unless there's a substitute motion that we lay the bill on the table. All right, the bill 5-3 is gently laid on the table. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, the next three bills I think staff will present, and we can do that from right here if you'd like.
House Bill 1618 from Delegate McNamara, and as well as House Bill 1841 from Chairman Knight are both related to the modifications to the revenue reserve and the taxpayer and the rainy day fund, revenue stabilization fund. Delegate McNamara's bill HB 1618 creates a taxpayer relief fund in the code, and then it includes language in the revenue reserve fund and the rainy day fund that any time there's an excess of the 15% cap in the combined funds or the rainy day fund by itself, any excess above the 15% cap shall be transferred into the taxpayer relief fund. This is somewhat in conflict with Chairman Knight's bill of House Bill 1841, which states what that one does is it states that the 15% cap can be exceeded if the revenue reserve fund is below 6% of the calculation. So therefore, you could exceed the 15%, so that therefore it is in conflict with HB 1618. The other thing that House Bill 1841 does is it deletes the language in the revenue stabilization fund that creates the super deposit, which has never actually been enacted, and it inserts the super deposit into the revenue reserve fund and changes the requirements to have a super deposit slightly by deleting one of the three triggers that are needed to have the super deposit.
So we have two bills in front of us. Thank you, staff, for explaining the differences. Any questions about, let's go after the first bill, Delegate McNamara's House Bill 1618.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Delegate Torrey.
did I hear correctly that staff indicated that 1816 is in conflict with the chairman's bill?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, you ready for a motion?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we lay House Bill 1618 gently on the table.
So it's been moved, House Bill 1618, been properly seconded to lay it on the table. Go to the voting board. Yeah, it looks like the bill is laid on the table 7-0. So now we have House Bill 1841 that was described by staff. I'll entertain a motion on that.
Mr. Chairman, I second that motion.
So we have a amendment, line amendment that looks like I'll ask staff explain. Yes, this is on House Bill 1841. There is just a simple line amendment, it looks like.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1841 allows the combined balance of the two funds to exceed 15% if the balance of the revenue reserve fund doesn't exceed 6% of such revenues. The line amendment would just align the two portions of the bill to make that happen. It's a technical amendment.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Delegate Torrey.
I move the line amendment.
All right, that's been,
A second.
all right, so properly second. All in favor to move the line amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so now we have House Bill 1841 properly in front of us. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Delegate
I move
Torrey.
the bill as amended.
All right, so House Bill 1841 has been moved and properly seconded as amended. All in favor? Go to the voting board. Bill reports. Eight zero. All right, and the last bill we have in front of us today is going to be Delegate Knight's House Bill 1843, capital outlay on the 6-year project.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is the annual 6-year plan bill. There is no fiscal impact on the bill. It simply puts before you the projects that would be eligible down the road for the General Assembly to consider for future funding. So it includes those projects that you may have planned previously or that were high priorities of institutions. But as pointed out, there is no fiscal impact. There's no commitment of funding. It just identifies the universe of projects that you might want to consider for future biennia to be funded.
All right, thank you. Any questions for staff?
Second.
All All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to move House Bill, to report House Bill 1843. All in favor? Go to the voting board, please. That bill reports 8-0. Thank you. I don't think there's anything else before us today. The committee shall rise.